gonna bring. Oh, hello. Welcome to another episode of Phoenix Friday. Okay, so I'm gonna have to admit that I might have switched my schedule around. Mainly because I didn't want to do 2 dingo pictures in 2 weeks, or else I'd probably have to shoot myself. So here it is, World Wrestling Championships. The product of putting a WWE game, a Fight Night game, and a Karate Champ game on the NES into a blender, and then pouring some liquid dog shit on top of it. I immediately knew this was going to be bad just by looking at the front cover. Whoever said not to judge something by its cover should be recorded as the world's biggest idiot ever to have a quote immortalised, because anybody who expected quality from this deserves to be ripped off. I mean, just look at how obvious the superimposing is of the head on the body. It's like one of those kids that pretend they're buff by poorly photoshopping their heads onto a bodybuilder on MS Paint, except it's being sold as a video game. With the addition of the misspelled blurb on the back of the box, this game promises to be immensely shit right off the bat, and don't you worry because it delivers. Now, in order to play this one, I played it with Loz, and each of us played as 3 out of 6 of the characters, and fought in all 3 arenas within 25 minutes. There's a single player campaign, but I imagine it's just more of the same, but drawn out for longer. So after selecting your character, you will begin. Well, you know, after the inevitable waiting for the eternal loading time. It's not as bad as London Cab Challenge, but pretty shitty nonetheless. Immediately it became clear that this was a barely functional mess with stiff, dysfunctional controls that I thought were long since gone after the 64-bit era. Whilst watching my audio notes on this, the phrase I kept hearing was, "I didn't even do that," or words to that effect. Punching, kicking, throwing, I still can't tell how they work. You've just got to winter games your way through this bitch and just hope not to get knocked out before your opponent does. To tell you the truth, even after 3 games of playing this, I still don't know the criteria of winning or losing. I originally thought that Loz won the first one because he knocked me out, but then it says player 1 wins. Does this have big rig syndrome? Is player 1 always winner? Did I win because I have more points? I don't understand. Unlike Fight Night, the rules aren't very clear, and unlike SmackDown, the moves and combos are impossible to learn, and literally every fighter is the same. The only thing that I noticed in terms of fighter difference was the fact that the Mohawk guy was barely responsive at all, and Loz said this was the same with the gangster guy as well.
What is your character wearing?
I don't know, but you can't hit for shit.
Is it like my other character? With my other character? I didn't even do that. It just happened. Oh.
I am literally taking the littlest health off you at a time.
I'm not even kicking, but it's still kicking.
Come on, Ashley, do something.
Obviously the name is ripped off from WCW, and they go to great lengths to differentiate it, only to include the WWE logo as part of the fucking game. Before, I compared this to Karate Champ, and that's because the game strongly resembles a 3-dimensional version of it, a game incredibly unresponsive and, well, shit. But at least I could get that game to respond, sort of. Just like Karate Champ, you can end up facing the wrong way entirely. Only if that happens in this game, you're completely fucked. If you take a punch to the side or to the back of the head, you lose like a quarter of your health, which makes a bit of sense, I guess. But in a game like this, such a thing is disasterific. In all honesty, I can say that this is at least a game, and unlike Hercules or Animal Soccer World, I couldn't really feel myself aging as I played it. I actually had a laugh whilst doing so, hell we both did, making it the most enjoyable game by default. Overall, if you like wrestling or boxing games, then this might be up your alley. I can imagine this being a lot of fun if you were drunk, and it won't really make that much of a difference to your performance. Sure, it's riddled with the awful Phoenix Games tropes like eye strain and fucking broken control beyond belief, but hell, at least it's fun. I'd say that this is the best Phoenix game I've covered thus far. By default, obviously. Well, that's all I've got to say about that one. Come back here, same time and place for another Phoenix turd.